I don't usually ask you this question directly, but I'll just do it anyway this time around. Did you get on any calls for head coaching opportunities in the NFL? Does your phone ring at all?
I take the fifth.
Okay. You plead the fifth. Okay. Because I think you'd be, I tell you this to your face, and I tell you this all the time, and I talk about you when you're not on this show. I think you would be phenomenal at that endeavor, should you ever choose to do it. The conversation about hiring people of color is a significant one right now, and Brian Flores having sued the league with Mike Tomlin having hired him as his special defensive assistant. Do you have any thoughts on the subject matter that you'd like to share? What a fix, for the lack of a phrase, might be, or what the issue is, David Shaw?
Yeah, this is a tough one. As you can imagine, I've answered this question a million times, partially also because I'm the son of a football coach. My dad was almost a head coach multiple times, so I'm well-versed in this conversation. There are two things that are hard to rectify together. First and foremost is that when you are hiring someone, no one can tell you who to hire, right? You have to be able to hire the best person. Right. And for the rest of us, and I include all of us in this, is trying to make sure that we have the best viable candidates regardless of race. But that has to be inclusive. That group has to be grown. That group has to have access to people in positions of power, people who are hiring. There are a lot of conversations about, okay, how do we influence the decision makers? How do we, and this is an off season where two men of color were hired as general managers, and so that is a huge step up. There are a lot of all 32 teams. A lot of them are very diverse as far as race, as far as gender equity. The league has grown a lot in those areas. The two big areas that show lacking diversity are ownership and head coaches. So that's a really, really difficult thing for us to push on. But from my standpoint, people I've talked to, Mike Locksley's doing a great job in this area. I know the NFL has tried as well, but really having a groundswell of legitimate people of color that have the opportunity and the ability to be head coaches, and to have those people have access to the decision makers.
And again, I know how much you love Stanford and being there, and your family loves being there. I'm wondering if, the way that the college football world is going with transfer portals and NIL deals and attracting talent being so crucial, to have transfer portals opened up and NIL deals available. Does that change the dynamic for you at Stanford in any way, shape, or form? Coach David Shaw?
Thankfully here at Stanford, there's the educational value is the highest you can find in college sports. So we are attracting a different kind of person that is not just short-sighted as far as how much money can you put in my hand, but have the long vision of this education, the people that I'm going to meet, the contacts that I'm going to have, the off-season, my internships that I'm going to have are going to help influence the rest of my life beyond somebody putting cash in my hand. At the same time, we are contributing and educating our guys on NIL. But I think we're one of those places that's a little bit more protected than others,
right?
Because we have something really, really special off of the football field.
Right, but does it matter that it might not lead to more W's than other places that don't have that sort of dynamic, Coach?
That's a great question coming off a difficult year for us. But I really like our team. I think we've got one of the best quarterbacks that we will be talking about next year's draft.
Okay.
We've got an outstanding group of skill positions around them. I think one of the best on the West Coast between receivers, running backs, and tight ends. So I think we have a chance to do some special things. And I've always felt this: when Stanford football wins, college football wins. Right? Because here's an example that we can have here, right, over our last decade, when it being one of the top 10 winningest programs in college football, doing it the right way, doing it with scholar athletes, doing it within the rules, and going out there and producing great talent like two guys we've talked about, Andrew Luck, Christian McCaffrey, Solomon Thomas, et cetera. We're doing it the right way and doing it with the right people. And when we win, I believe college football wins.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.